Let's talk about the other budget debate that's happening, and that's over the debt ceiling. You have said you want a balanced budget amendment attached to any debt ceiling vote. Is that correct?
Yes. I think Congress needs to pass a balanced budget amendment by the requisite two-thirds margin in both houses before we raise the debt limit.
So you want that vote before the debt ceiling vote?
Yes, exactly. And if that doesn't occur beforehand, and if it doesn't occur with it passing so that we can submit it to the states for ratification, I will oppose raising the debt limit.
Why a balanced budget amendment when the critics of it say that it would take at least 5 years to get through the states, to get ratified, et cetera? So is it even realistic to lay that kind of marker down? Absolutely,
it's realistic. And in fact, the fact that it contains a 5-year delayed implementation clause makes it even more realistic. I mean, there are very few out there who would suggest that we can balance our budget overnight. But over a 5-year glide path, we can bring it down to the requisite levels.
All 47 Republicans in the Senate agreed to a balanced budget amendment proposal drafted by you and others. You have said you're going to try to get your colleagues to join you in this marker of saying we need to vote on this balanced budget amendment before the debt ceiling vote. How many of your colleagues have joined you in that effort?
Well, that number's in flux right now. I should be able to give you a better figure a couple weeks from now.
Do you have a handful of them? Are you making progress?
We've got a handful, and we're making progress. We expect to get more this week.
Why not Speaker Boehner's idea of saying, okay, if we raise the debt ceiling by X, then we want spending cuts that match it? Why not that?
Well, first of all, when we incorporate something into the Constitution, we make it binding on future Congresses. We might be able to say we've got to have spending cuts that match the debt limit increase, but if those are stretched over, say, 10 years, then we can't bind future Congresses to make sure that they do that. The only way to bind future Congresses is through an amendment to the Constitution.
On the whole not raising the debt ceiling, if you vote no, I just want to read Ezra Klein's column today in the Washington Post about what he says about this. He says, let's say we do dodge a debt ceiling crisis this time because some Republicans have said it's not going to be catastrophic. He says, what about the next time or the one after that? It's a bomb sitting at the base of the economy, and we need to get it wrong only once for things to get very, very bad very, very fast. Worse, it's an entirely unnecessary risk. If Congress wants to change policy going forward, that's what the budget is for.
Well, he makes a fair point. The problem has been that Congress has yet to do anything about it. Congress has yet to change the way in which it perpetually kicks this can down the road and expects that next time it's going to do things differently. It always reminds me of St. Augustine, who spoke of about the time of his conversion to Christianity, when he said, Lord, grant me chastity, but not yet. I don't want to do the difficult things yet. Congress is always postponing that day until tomorrow. The crisis that we need to be worried about, in addition to the crisis that refers to, is the fact that if we continue increasing the debt limit over and over and over again and never doing things differently, we'll reach the point at which no one wants to buy our debt, and which we won't be able to issue more debt instruments without astronomically increasing the interest rate that those debt instruments yield. And at that point, every one of our federal programs will be in grave jeopardy. We can't allow that to happen.
How would a balanced budget amendment work?
Well, it would require that Congress every year pass a budget in which outlays do not exceed revenues without a two-thirds supermajority vote in both houses of Congress. This particular amendment proposal would also require that a two-thirds supermajority vote occur in order to approve any spending above and beyond 18% of GDP annually.
I want to show our viewers and you what Jay Carney, the White House spokesman, had to say about the idea of a balanced budget amendment tied to any sort of debt ceiling vote. Here's what he had to say.
The starting point is that we share with a number of members of Congress of great concern about the need to reduce spending, with the goal of reducing our deficit. What we don't think is necessary is to amend the Constitution or to pass a across-the-board spending reduction measure that will, for example, in both cases, seriously underfund Medicare and Social Security, and does the exact opposite in many ways of what the President has said is necessary, which is take a balanced approach to our long-term deficit and debt problems. So we don't support that.
Senator, he said it would undermine Social Security and Medicare.
I don't know how he can say that. I don't know how he can possibly say that. I mean, look, what he's leaving out is the fact that it would also undermine Social Security and Medicare to do exactly what we're doing right now. There is nothing in the balanced budget amendment proposal that I've submitted, or in any such proposal that I'm aware of, that would inevitably, inexorably target Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, or any particular government program. These proposals are agnostic as to where the cuts come from. There is always going to be difficulty in achieving consensus within Congress about where to cut. But what this attempts to do is rally support around the idea that cutting is inevitable, that we do have to cut, and then we will figure out where to cut. But it's simply false to say that this would necessarily require cuts to any program.